Welcome back, sports fans. In the final segment, I'm going to discuss and preview the NFL draft for this year. While I think there's no argument that Trevor Lawrence will be the number one selection of the draft by the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Zach Wilson will go second to the Jets, when you get to the 49ers at 3, it becomes very interesting because they could take Trey Lance. They've been rumored to take Mac Jones. Obviously, it's going to be a quarterback. It's just a question of which one. And depending on which one they select, that could influence the Falcons selection, although I really believe the Falcons are going to take Kyle Pitts, and they're going to look to trade Julio Jones. When I heard that the other day, that made as much sense to me about the Falcons as anything I've heard recently. And then I believe the Bengals at 5 are going to take Penei Sewell, who's an offensive lineman from Oregon. And then after that, it becomes kind of interesting. One thing is, what are the Lions going to do? I think the Lions pretty much know what they're going to do. And there are some circumstances that I think are going to be part of that. I don't want to get into my prediction right now because I don't want to tip off any other NFL teams that may be listening to this, if there are any. If there are any. And sometimes people just love to call in the segment a little bit early. Excuse me for that, and excuse them for that as well. And what I was saying is, I don't want to tip off what I believe the Lions are going to do. However, I have a pretty good idea as to what I think they're going to do given how things are with them. Now, whether or not that comes to fruition, we'll see, and I'll talk more about that when the draft's over with, or at least after the first round's over with, which will be tonight. With that having been said, it's going to be interesting because you still have a few teams that may be trading up to get a quarterback. It's been rumored that the Patriots are going to do this, and I do have my thoughts on that. But I don't want to tip off my hand about that by any means. But in terms of the Lions, they need a lot of players. There's no question about that. They are grossly lacking talent, especially on defense. And I think what you're going to see is outside of wide receiver, you're going to see the Lions taking a lot of defensive players. That would be my expectation, and I would be shocked if they didn't do it. If they don't do it, I'm not going to be sold as much on Brad Holmes in this collaborative group as I once was, and especially Chris Spielman being part of that group. He knows as well as I do, and I'm sure much better, how much defense the Lions need. He would know more the players that they need, perhaps a little bit more than I do, or I would say I wouldn't be surprised a whole lot more than I do. But there is no doubt that anybody who has followed the Lions recently knows that they need defensive players desperately. Tonight is the first round. I will have a special Sports with Ed starting at 7:30. The draft is expected to begin shortly after 8. And I will have all of the selections leading up to the Lions' first selection. Now, if the Lions trade that selection, I will continue with the selections until the Lions make their first selection of the draft, regardless of when that is. So stay tuned for that, and join me for Sports with Ed's NFL Draft Special tonight at 7:30. I look forward to seeing every one of you there, and I look forward to having you join me. My name is Ed Moss. If you're out on the road, drive safely. If you're watching the NFL Draft tonight, enjoy it. And by all means, stay tuned to Sports with Ed's NFL Draft Special on Ed's Sports Channel. Until then, take care, drive safely, and goodbye for now.